You want to win your week one of your fantasy playoffs? Parker Messick and others are going to win it for you. I got that and more on today's action-packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, we are number one source for fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. Now, this is weird for me because Dom's usually doing it with the two of us, but I'm your host, Matthew Ahne, here with my co-host, my best friend, Dominick Martino. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit that bell below to subscribe to the channel and give you a notification every time we drop a new episode, which you're not going to want to miss. And if you're listening on Apple, Spotify, wherever you're getting that audio source, click that subscribe button. Leave us a 5-star rating and review, and it really helps out the show. And if you want a little bit more than what we offer in this 30-minute podcast, join the Insider Track. We're going to help you guide your way to a fantasy championship this year. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Football season is around the corner. Visit the FanDuel app today. Start planning your future bets today. Now, we got a great episode for you today. I'm going to lay it out for you. This is the serious time to really sink in, lock on in, no pun intended, to really get yourself a championship league. And I actually think there's a bunch of names specifically on this podcast that are going to be the difference maker in your ads for going into it. And I'm going to tell you what, we have 3 pitchers that I truly like that I think are going to take you off, plus a couple of hitters. But this first pitcher, I want to call him Peter Parker almost, is just awesome. And Dom, you want to start us off, sir?
Yeah, let's talk some Parker Messick, Cleveland Guardians starting pitcher. And Matt, you said it perfect. Peter Parker, because he's going to swing in and save the day for you. He's pitching next. Monday, right? Yeah, he's coming up. So as you guys are listening, it is, same day kind of ad situation. If you have that, opportunity in your league, it's going to be awesome. If not, he still does pitch again at the end of the week at Tampa Bay, which is not a bad matchup. But then after that, it looks like he's either going to get Kansas City or the White Sox. So even if your fantasy baseball playoffs doesn't start this week, most leagues it should be starting around now. If not next week, he has great matchups as well. And Parker Messick has been fantastic through his first 2 starts here in the bigs. It's been those 2 starts, got 1 win, an 0.66 ERA, and 0.88 WHIP, 13 innings pitched with 12 strikeouts. So Messick is really known for that changeup. It was really a nice pitch for him. Gets lots of swings and misses on that one. So helps get that low 90-mile-an-hour fastball. Play and helps to play up a little bit. Right, has a nice little scrappy curveball as well. So he has a couple of different pitches he can go to. Control needs a little bit of work. I think that's the thing that's going to put him over the top, but it's been really good so far since he's gotten to the bigs. Had a good showing in AAA down in the minors with a 3.47 ERA, 98 innings pitched, 119 strikeouts. The 1.22 whip, which is what I was talking about. The control just needs a little bit more work, but it seems like he's going to take that next step, has been taking that next step. Messick is the number 12 prospect in the Cleveland Guardians organization. So I like what he brings to the table. Like I said, good matchups going down the stretch here. 21% owned on Yahoo. Definitely a must-add for me.
Yeah, I like Messick a lot, actually. The only reason that Dom even knew who he was is because he saw me pick him up in another league.
That is correct. I do have to give Matt credit. Matt definitely put me on to Messick. That is true.
I've liked the kid for a bit. I just never thought he was going to be up this year. That's why I really wasn't adding him in a lot of leagues. But when I saw he was, bound to get the call soon, I was like, oh, this is a no-brainer. Let's just add this kid real quick. So when it comes to Parker Messick too, like he actually is known for a few things. If you look at, just like his profile and things like that before he got the call, he was actually known for his command. He actually on Fangraphs as his prospect, report. He actually was a 50 out of 55 on command, which having a 55 in command category alone is actually really good. Then to actually only be 5 points off is really good. He has a great changeup, good curveball, like Dom said. Slider's pretty decent, and fastball, it's not going to have your knock your socks off kind of velocity, but the kid is really good. And then on top of that, he's just been super successful. He's getting good movement on his pitches for the first kind of lick at the bigs, really suppressing hard contact. The average exit velocity against him is actually 85.9 miles per hour, which is actually super elite. I love it. Producing ground balls at a decent rip. Would like to see a little bit more, but again, hard hit percentage, 24%. How often he's barreling? Never. And I mean, a short stint, obviously, you're talking a grand total of how many innings, 13 and a half. Like it's bound to come, but not walking guys, which is great for a new rookie. Creating whiffs, getting guys to chase. It's all super awesome. And it's on the back of that fastball that, yes, doesn't have knock your socks off velocity, but has a batting average against it of 118. And he throws that 44% of the time. That slider's also dangerous with a 143 batting average. He throws that 15% of the time. Surprisingly enough, his changeup, which is actually filthy, is getting hit, but also puts away guys 26.3% of the time when he throws that. So I like Messick a lot. The matchups coming up to this week are awesome. So I'm literally, I've added him in every league since he's gotten the call. Except for one, because I just didn't have any. And then Dom was kindly enough to drop him in that one league. So then I had the opportunity to then go out and get him. So thank you, sir. But let's move on. I think we've covered Messick at ad nauseum at this point. Let's talk about Luis Morales of them. I want to say Oakland Athletics, but it's now the Las Vegas Athletics, and he is 18% owned. His next start comes against St. Louis on September 2nd, so that is Tuesday. And actually, that's a pretty decent matchup. St. Louis really doesn't scare me. They're not a team that I feel has a lot of threat to any pitcher going up against them. So they're a team that I'm going to target against, obviously. And then on top of that, I mean, he's actually been really solid this year. Since August 1st, he's really been crushing it. Um, you know, hasn't really had the lengthy innings until about August 16th, but really once he started branching out to the 5, 6, 7 innings, which literally that's how it goes. He's been killing it, handling his own. First start over 4 innings, obviously. 5 innings deep, got the win, 5 Ks, a 1.8 ERA, 140 whip, which is a little high, but still against the Angels. Then handled Seattle like a beast, went 6 against them with 6 Ks and a 1.5 ERA with a 0.33 whip. Then handled Detroit, which is a feat of its own. Didn't give up a run, 7 Ks through 7 innings, got the win, and a 0.57 whip. Morales going up against St. Louis now, I have full confidence that this is a matchup I'm going to want to stream. That will be the difference of whether you win your matchup or not, because look at it. He's a K per inning every single start he's had. He's not giving up runs. And that is the key part that you're going to want to start off your week hot, especially with it coming out on a Tuesday. Even though I don't think there's much of a long-term aspect throughout the playoffs, but he's a perfect streaming candidate for week 1.
Yeah, man, I like Morales as well. The matchup after St. Louis looks like it's going to be Boston, a little bit of a tougher matchup. Boston's been hot of late, 7-3 in the last 10. So let's see how he does in the St. Louis. If he keeps it rocking and rolling, hey, man, I wouldn't mind throwing him out there against Boston if he keeps it up. Morales is a top 100 prospect, according to MLB.com. Actually sneaks in there at 100 exactly. He's the Athletics' number 4 prospect overall. He's got that big fastball, is what he's really known for. And pretty solid stuff overall. Has a few good pitches there as well. So Morales currently is 18% owned on Yahoo. Go out there and snag him where you can. Matt, what do you think? Sneak in this one more? Yeah, let's do one more. And actually, I'm a big fan of this guy, and he's finally starting to get it going. Let's do Emmett Sheehan, starting pitcher of the Los Angeles Dodgers. And listen, we've talked about him a bit since, he's been in and out of the rotation, hasn't really was giving us the innings that we wanted to see out of him. But he's getting it going of late, Emmett Sheehan. His last start, August 25th against Cincinnati, 7 innings, 10 strikeouts, no earned runs, 0.43 whip in that one, got the quality start. His last one before that wasn't great, but he threw 6 innings. The 2 starts before that got 5 innings. He's moving in the right direction. And if you look at the numbers overall in the season, in the bigs for Sheehan, it looks pretty good. 8 starts, 5 wins, 3.56 ERA, 113 whip, 48 innings, 54 strikeouts. Now, the big thing with Emmett Sheehan is he's been really, really good in the minors. Big strikeout ratios. The stuff really has played up in the minors, and it looks like he's starting to figure out how to get it done in the bigs. Overall, he's getting the chases, getting the whiffs. He's just getting hit a bit hard, so when they are hitting him, that's the problem. It's hard contact. And, you could understand that, guy throws 96, averages 96, gets up there a little bit higher at times. The fastball getting decent results on that. It's all the pitches are getting, pretty solid results, except for the curveball. The curveball is really, the one pitch. He only throws it about 7% of the time, but it's really getting knocked around. So a guy like Emmett Sheehan, who has the pedigree, the prospect pedigree, great track record in the minors, pitches for the Dodgers, starting to show signs. On Tuesday, guess what? He goes out against Pittsburgh. That is a fantastic matchup. 32% owned for, Emmett Sheehan on Yahoo. Kind of just want to give you guys, a little bit of thoughts on who he goes up against next after Pittsburgh. It looks like at Baltimore. Wow, he gets a good run in the playoffs here. So it's going to be Pittsburgh on Tuesday. After that, it's going to be at Baltimore. Then it's going to be at San Francisco. So a nice little run for Emmett Sheehan. Honestly, probably my favorite pitcher out of all the guys we talked about so far. Just given the pedigree, the matchup, and the success he's had. 32% owned for Emmett Sheehan. Go out there and snag him. Honestly, anywhere you can.
Yep, and
go ahead.
And Jinx, you owe me a soda and a fantasy baseball league win. So forfeit now. Guys, coming up next, we got a whole bunch of names. I can't even stress enough. I'm going to give my side of Sheehan. We got Uribe coming up after the break that I feel is going to be a short stint of things, and we'll get into that and more coming up next.
Hey, Locked On Fantasy Baseball fans, are you still paying full price for gas? Stop leaving money behind. Get real cash back every time you fill up with the free Upside app. Simply download the free Upside app in the App Store or Google Play right now and start earning cash at the pump today. Use my limited time promo code SEASON and get an extra 25 cents back per gallon on your first fill up. You can make up to $300 a year just from buying the gas you've already needed. At first, I thought it was too good to be true, but it's totally legit. Real people are getting paid just to make their daily commutes, and now you can too. Plus, you can cash out anytime to your bank account, PayPal, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Don't let this offer drive on by. Download the free Upside app now using my limited time promo code SEASON for a limited 25-cent per gallon bonus. Once again, that promo code is going to be SEASON. Offers vary by user and location. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions. And then, all right, guys, the NFL season is almost here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Personally, I love using the FanDuel app because, it just fits however you like to bet, including player props, building a same-game parlay, or even jumping in live as the action unfolds. It makes every game more exciting, whether you're watching your team or just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup. It's quick and easy, and it's the best way to add a little more energy to Sundays. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. And all right, guys, we have an important request. Locked On wants to hear from you. We've put together a survey to learn more about our listeners and make your favorite podcast even better. This is your chance to tell us what you like, what you don't, and answer questions about our advertising. Go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey to get started. Everyone who completes a survey will be entered for a chance to enter to win one of our 10 $100 Amazon gift cards that we're giving away. Again, that's lockedonpodcast.com/survey. You can also find the link in the show notes. Thanks for helping us out. And guys, I know it's a lot, but one last thing, join Matt and I on the Insider Track. I'm going to keep it short and simple with this one. It's just going to be that little cheat code that's going to help you win your fantasy baseball league. I know it's fantasy football time, so you might be locked in on that. So let Matt and I, make fantasy baseball easy for you because we're always still locked in on fantasy baseball, right? It's text messaging alerts right to your phone, offering so much more than we can in these 30-minute episodes. So check us out. The link's in the bio wherever you're listening, watching, and it's available on any of our social media platforms. But Matt, please, thoughts on Emmett Sheehan?
Yeah, so I like Sheehan, quite honestly. You really did cover him well. I kind of just want to reinforce one thing. As this kid has gotten more and more licks in the bigs, he's just gotten more and more dominant at the plate, and I feel the confidence is starting to come in. And with these stream of matchups, I think he's going to be a difference maker as well. So let's add him. Let's call it a day and just move on here. I'm going to get to this next guy here because I feel like this is one that's a short window that we have to capitalize on it before the true closer comes back in, and that's Abner Uribe of the Milwaukee Brewers, 43% owned, so out there in 57% of leagues. And Uribe now is against the clock of when Miguel is going to return from the IL, and that's the key part. Now it's an elbow flexor strain. Miguel says, "Hey, I should be back when first eligible," but I don't know how much I'm buying it because they definitely have playoff aspirations and things like that. So do they really rush this guy back or do they get a little bit more conservative? But here's the thing. Long story short, this is the last week that you're going to be able to really capitalize before McGill gets in. So I'm adding him in all leagues that I can because I want to get every save I humanly can. And that's going to be the difference maker of whether you win your week or not. So just stream him for the week. And the second Miguel gets called up, call it a day. I'm not called up, returns from the IO, call it a day because there's not going to be much there for you.
Yeah, I mean, Matt, well, great take. Uribe is just usable in, only in well, Jesus, he's going to be usable for this week for now, and that's really going to be about it, Matt. Like I was saying, just great take. So I'm going to leave it there. Just hold on to him while he's getting the saves. Otherwise, once McGill's back, and you could drop him. But let's move on to one more guy who's going to be getting some saves down the stretch too. It is Shawn Armstrong of those Texas Rangers. Listen, he's been around a while, and it's kind of like an old reliable kind of situation here. A guy who's gotten saves before, and we can just let him do it a couple more times. He's been good this year. He is, has 4 wins, 2.43 ERA, 0.83 WHIP, 59 innings pitched, 61 strikeouts. He got the save on August 29th. And it's actually his 5th save of the season. So once again, for the 34-year-old who's been around a long time and has gotten, saves before in his career, if it's just going to be Armstrong down the stretch, he's been good this year. At 9% owned, I'd go out there and add him anywhere you need saves.
Well said, Dom. I don't really have much to add. I mean, that we call it closer room and position has felt like a rotating door this year. So, just on to the next one, essentially, and we'll just see how it plays out. But let's move on. So about Josh Jung of the same team, Texas Rangers, playing third base. And Josh Jung is somebody that, I love preseason, and, I just hasn't really been able to click coming into this year. And I feel like, okay, he comes off the IL and has started to get a little bit better. And after also being sent down at a couple struggles, which I think was actually good for him, he's really coming on, and I smell a heater coming. And these are the ones I want to get in on. Is when a guy is hitting for batting average leading up to a week and is able to make some contact with the ball. He already has 5 runs and 4 ribs and batting 500 on the week. Even over the previous week, he's batting 395, has the 1 home run, 3 runs, and 2 ribs on top of the already existing stats for this week. So things are starting to come together. And now if he starts catching fire, things are going to explode. I love Josh Jung for a lot of reasons. He comes with a lot of power. That bat is big and, really does crush the ball. I'm just super excited to see if we get it. It's the perfect time to hop in. Look, we called Josh Young, not Josh Young, Josh Lau or Lowe, however you say the outfielder's name. And look what he did this week. At the beginning of the week, I said, that I'm smelling a heater start. This is what wins you playoffs. It's going on those hunches of when they're starting to heat up and making contact with the ball on a consistent basis. They have a power upside. Perfect guy to add to keep that going. He's 29% owned. Don't pass on, especially if you're rough in the third base position.
Yeah, Matt, I'm right there with you with Josh Jung. Picked him up myself in a couple of spots, just because, like you said, he has the prospect, pedigree. He was a tie-in prospect before, a couple of years ago when he got the call. And it's just been injuries. I think it's really just been an injury thing with Josh Jung. He's dealt with injuries over the past couple of seasons and, hasn't gotten his footing. He's still young, finding his footing now. Matt, you talked about how good he's been of late since August 23rd. He's been on a heater. His last 3 games, he has 3 hits in all of those. I think once that power stroke just comes along, he's just going to be, and he's not going to be doing that at Giancarlo Stanton level, but if there's, anyone that could come close, Josh Jung could, hey, listen, could he hit, 4 or 5 home runs down the stretch that help you, win your league? Definitely. I could even see him in a couple more if he really gets it going. But even on the season, 106 games played, 257 batting average, 42 runs, 12 homers, 51 RBIs, and 4 steals, and only 29% owned on Yahoo. I'd go out there and snag him wherever you can. But before we move on and we talk about names like Jorge Polanco, Noelvi Marte, and those names and more coming up next.
This episode of Prize Picks is brought to you by, this episode is brought to you by Prize Picks, the daily fantasy app where making the right call can actually pay off. You and I make decisions every day, but Prize Picks being right means cashing in. With football back, Prize Picks is the simplest and fastest way to get in on the action. Just pick two or less on the 2 to 6 player projections, and you can turn your takes into real prizes. all in less than 60 seconds. I've been playing Prize Picks lately, and it's so much fun. The way to stay locked in for this season. Love checking projections like Josh Allen for more or less than 270 passing yards, or Saquon Barkley to have more or less than one rushing touchdown. And the best part, even if one of your picks misses, Prize Picks invented the flex play. So you could still double your money. Download Prize Picks app today and use the code Locked On MLB to get $50 in lineup after you play your first $5 lineup. That code is LOCKEDONMLB for $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 play. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. And I'll tell you what, I love Prize Picks. It's fun. It's super easy to do. The more or less is super easy to build. And guess what? You don't have to say, oh, it's going to be more than this or less than this. It's just whatever the projection is, yes or no. It's wonderful. So, Prize Picks. Okay. So let's get back into it. Dom, if you got him queued up, I would really appreciate it.
Yeah, we could do it. Let's talk about some Jorge Polanco here, guys. And this is just an old reliable situation. We know who Jorge Polanco is. He's healthy. This Seattle team has been better since their acquisitions, at the trade deadline. And he's out there. He's been hitting, he's been hitting sixth in the lineup, but he's healthy. He's got back-to-back games with homers. Decent matchups this week. He goes at Tampa, and then where does he finish off the week? If you give me a second, I can pull that up too. So I think it's a solid ad. And he plays second base. He goes it's at Tampa, then at Atlanta. Not horrible matchups. Atlanta's pitching is a little bit better than Tampa's, but not bad, for a guy who has second and third eligibility on Yahoo. He's 40% owned on the season. Polanco's played 114 games, 255 batting average, 51 runs, 22 homers, 62 RBI, 6 steals. So, that power is what he's known for, but, he's chipping in RBIs, 6 steals on the season, is not bad. 255 batting average isn't killing you. And like I said, while he's out there, he's been played every game since August 24th. So it looks like he's healthy again. And a lot of good games, 3 for 4 on August 25th with 2 runs, 4 RBIs. Like I mentioned, the back-to-back homers in the last 2 games. So go out there and pick him up anywhere you need second or third base help.
Well said, Dom. Honestly, with his production, and when he's hot, he's usually on it this year. Obviously, he's not a whole season long kind of guy anymore, but he's still a guy that when he's hot, he's definitely a guy I want on that team. And I love the upgrades they added to that team. So there's actually a lot more fantasy value circling Seattle as a whole. So it's a great ad for this week. Let's move on. Let's talk about a guy that I actually think is going to crush it for us this week. That's Noelvi Marte. So he plays for the Cincinnati Reds. He has third in outfield eligibility, and he's 47% owned. So he's out there in 53% of the league. So you need to go out there and add him if he's out and available. Now, there's 2 parts I like about Noelvi Marte in his situation. One, he hits in the Reds Park. Great American Hitter Park is the name I've given it. And guess what? He's home all week. Literally, that means home run upside out the wazoo. On top of that, Noelvi Marte can crush the ball. I don't know if you've been watching baseball recently, but that dude hits home runs like I use the bathroom. So it's enough. Like even over this last week, 2 home runs, 2 RBIs, 4 runs, batting 269. Already has 12 home runs on the season through 241 at bats, which that's a great pace. If you were to pace that out for a full season, that's a 30 home run pace. He's really crushing the ball, and he's batting 295 on the season. If Noelvi Marte gets hot at home, the potential for a week is going to be limitless. It could actually wing you the whole week because, hey, I've watched this kid crush. I think he 100% can do that. And here we go. Guy just does everything right. And I'm all about it. He's going to be the difference maker for your team and probably stream your way to winning a championship. So add him immediately.
Yeah, Matt, good take on Marte. It's really about the matchups this time of year and riding the hot hands. You talked about how Marte is going to be at home all week. He's been hot of late. On the year, Marte, 66 games, 295 batting average, 34 runs, 12 homers, 42 RBIs, 7 steals. If Marte's draft value for next year isn't too high, I'm going to be all over him for next year because I think, he dealt with the suspension this year, injury, a bunch of different things that kind of have, could have affected him. And, hey, if he came out and didn't have a great year, we would have maybe given him a pass at 23 years old, right? A lot of stuff going on, but still through controversy, having a great season here. Plays in Cincinnati, as we talked about, great park. Even for next year, he's been hitting second in the lineup of late. Great spot for RBIs and runs. 47% owned on Yahoo. Go out and add Noelvi Marte everywhere. Let's move on to a first baseman. Let's talk about Kyle Manzardo. He's been hot of late, doing his thing over there, in Cleveland, finally getting some playing this year. Hasn't had the best showing, but there's definitely been some pop in that bat, and that's what you're going to add him for. Once again, first base eligibility for Manzardo, 116 games played this year, 235 batting average. 39 runs, 23 homers, 60 RBIs, and a steal. He's 13% owned on Yahoo, but like I said, been heating up of late. On August 29th, 2 for 3 with a homer. August 30th, 1 for 4 with a homer, 2 RBIs. And, just kind of starting to find his stride over there as a young player, in the bigs. Been hitting fourth in this lineup. Probably a little bit more of a deeper league play here. If you just want a little pop, little RBI thing, you could go for it. Like I said, kind of just a young bat finding his way here over the last week. Kyle Manzardo, 2 homers, 5 RBIs, 261 batting average, 814 OPS. Like I said, probably more of a little deep league play here, but we got to get everyone involved. Everyone's in the playoffs, not just guys that play in shallower leagues. Our deep league guys are out there too. So 13% owned for Manzardo. Go out there and pick him up if you need some pop.
Yeah, I think he could definitely provide power at least. Manzardo was a big prospect in terms of power and things like that. And that was his real draw as, wanting to get him in fantasy in general. So, if we can catch a heater, I'm all about it because that could, again, be a guy that will give you a surge in the home run category. And it's not like, Cleveland's not a threat to put up some runs. So Kyle Manzardo is a great egg. Well said, Dom. Let's move on to our last guy here, Jeremiah Jackson of the Baltimore Orioles, playing shortstop and outfield, and is 6% owned. So this is a deep league cut, but hey, it is what it is. I mean, again, Dom said it well, but he's also a guy that's hot right now. 4 runs, a bomb, 5 ribs, batting 310 over the week. Quite honestly, we all know my rule, right? Batting average off the waiver wire is something I need to get on my hands. Plus, Jeremiah is just showing off a little bit of power this year that honestly I didn't see in his profile. And not power. His batting average that I didn't see in his profile if you look at his minor league career. So this might be a next step that I like, or it's just, hey, it's a hot start. But you look at the minors and it looks like, it's carried over into whatever the changes he's made behind his plate approach. And then on top of that, the power has been there. Jeremiah has just been showing off. 15 home runs through 207 at bat. 189 at, no, I'm sorry. 360 at bats. Too many numbers here. 15 home runs through 360 at bats in the minors before getting the call, and already has 2 home runs in the bigs. Honestly, it's interesting. I'm going to probably add him just based off of speculation, especially, shortstop and outfield is kind of gone. We've lost Corey Seager this week. We've lost Luis Robert. You're going to need guys to kind of fill holes even on off days and things like that. And I think Jeremiah Jackson might be able to help you cross the bridge and kind of help you get that. So add him, if he starts slumping or not really performing for you, then you drop him like he's hot too. Again, 6% owned. Who cares?
Yeah, man, this is the perfect juice the orange guy here with Jeremiah Jackson. I'm not going to say you add him everywhere. 6% owned on Yahoo. If you need the shortstop or outfield help going into next week, you kind of just play him while he's hitting. Drop him the instant he's not, and we move on. I'm not super familiar with Jeremiah Jackson myself. He looks like, as Matt said, it looks like he made some changes going into this season because he had a pretty solid season in the minors with 85 games played, 339 at-bats, 47 runs, 15 homers, 41 RBIs, 11 steals, hit 313. So it looks like some changes were made there. He's hitting second, has played every day for the Orioles since August 21st. Has a hit in every game since then. A little 9-game hit streak going for Jeremiah Jackson. So, like I said, kind of ride the wave here with a guy like this. I'm not investing too much or dropping anybody of significance for him. But if you need someone that's hot right now and potentially could give you, it looks like a little bit of maybe a little homer speed combo, given his track record in the minors. Once again, forgive my ignorance. I'm not super familiar with the kid, but looks like he can hit some homers and steal a bag every now and then as well. So if you need that kind of combo while he's hot, playoffs for fantasy baseball, ride the wave. But Matt, unless you got anything else to add, I'm going to get us out of here. So, all right, guys, shout out to our everydayers and new listeners for making Locked On Fantasy Baseball your first listen each and every day. And for your second listen, check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. But until next time, guys, see you.